5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome everyone to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is the podcast where my co-hosts and I listen to all the Cincinnati-based podcasts from the previous week. We get together at a podcast host, and this week we are back at Higher Gravity Summit Park. Thank you, Higher Gravity, for being a gracious podcast host. Now, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other podcasts. So far, so good. We're on like a 2-month streak now.
Yeah, we're doing well. Although I will say, I think that one of the consequences to some of our actions are we got an invite to an event for the 100th anniversary. Or, I'm sorry, not anniversary, the 100th anniversary. 100th. Good Lord. Although one of the hosts is ancient, you know, it could be. So I don't know if you want to consider that a consequence of our actions or not. All depends on how you look at it.
Glass half full, glass half empty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This glass, as long as there's beer in it, I mean, it's fine.
If there,
I don't know.
It's half empty when you're gonna need another one.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Anyway.
So consequences. Let's call it a podsequence. I am Marco. I am a taproom manager here locally. That other voice you heard belongs to the best co-host in Podcastlandia.
I'm Julia, and I just drink beer and talk about it. That's it. That's all I got today. Well, and I compile lists of beer events. That we talk about in our calendar episodes, which come out on Wednesdays. So check them out. Find some beer events in the area to go to and support, because there are a ton of them.
Yes.
And please make my efforts worth it.
There are some near you. There are some near you. Go to them.
It's true. A little disclaimer before we get started. Everything that Marco and I say on this podcast, there are opinions, no one else's. So if you don't like something that we say, come at us. Please don't come at any of the entities that we represent, that we work at, Higher Gravity, that type of thing. All of what we say is 100% our own thoughts and opinions, and no one else's.
Right.
Yep.
So now that we've got all that out of the way, I mean, wouldn't be a craft beer podcast without some craft beer.
Hell yeah.
So, Julia.
Marco.
What you drinking?
I am drinking a Hoppy lager, which is a collaboration with HighGrain Brewing and the 1 in 8 Foundation. It is, believe it or not, a Hoppy lager. It is pretty delicious, and it was a beer brewed with, I believe, either the Pink Boot Society. It doesn't say on the can, but it is a collaboration with the Pink Ribbon Good Society or Foundation. The Pink Ribbon Good provides needed services and peer support to people affected with breast and gynecological cancer, and 10% of taproom sales from this product benefit Pink Ribbon Good. So not only am I drinking an absolutely delicious Hoppy lager, I'm doing some good by drinking it.
Good.
How about you, Marco? What do you have in your glass?
I have Blinding Light Show. That's a American IPA from War Pigs.
Nice.
I
think they're newer to the area. I think I just started seeing them pop up, but how is it?
No idea. It's fine. It's good.
Good. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, it's good.
All right. So do you want to talk about a couple little Cincinnati Craft Beer Podcast news-ish stuff first, or do you want to just dive into the podcast first and talk about news-ish stuff after? I'm letting you set the tone for this one.
No, we can talk about, let's go news-ish.
Okay. There was a post, I'm assuming most of the people that listen to us saw the post that the Gnarly Gnome made about just kind of changes in schedule, that type of thing. His actual post sounded a little more dramatic than what, kind of how it needed to be. And but, you know, there are a lot of things going on in his life. As you know, if you've listened to anything that he does, life is chaos. I mean, he's running his own business, really 2 and 3 businesses if you count Cincy Brewcast and everything else he does on the podcast and craft beer side, and also Gnome Creative, his money making side of the his business entities. He has family that he's taking care of, and they're getting involved in all kinds of events. So for the foreseeable future, hopefully it's just kind of a short time period, the cadence of when we see new episodes, new blog posts, new videos, that type of thing, it might be a little sporadic.
Right.
He just needs to kind of take a step back. If you want more information on this, he talked about it on his episode of The Weekly Pint. So go to his Facebook page, check out the most recent episode of The Weekly Pint. And he's going to be back bigger and better than ever, I'm sure. Just needs to kind of make sure that all of the things that he has joy doing, there just aren't enough hours in the day. So he's trying to kind of refigure out, or at least, again, I'm putting words in his mouth. But it sounded like he's just trying to refigure out scheduling for stuff. And since the podcast side of things really doesn't pay the bills as much as he would like, that's what he's kind of taking a step back from for at least a short amount of time.
Yeah, to be an entrepreneur, to have his own business work, he has to work at the business of that.
Correct.
So, and many of us maybe had the perception that him leaving his typical job working for somebody else meant he was full-time doing nothing but Cincy Brewcast. That's not the case. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has his own gnome creative business where he does a lot of things in the in that world. The majority of it, I mean,
still creating content just for other people, not for himself.
Yeah. And so he has to work at making that business work as well as balancing his family. And the gnome, even though the post says the gnome is dead, the gnome is not dead.
The gnome's just hibernating for a bit.
Yeah, he's just shuffling things around, and he's been at this a long time. What, 7, 8, 9 years or something like that?
Close to, yeah.
So
at least 8.
This is something where there's no off season.
No,
there isn't, and so for him to take some time to build his business and calculate how all of this fits into his life it's good. I think
agree.
This is going to be a good thing. All of us need some time to eventually, take a step back and assess things and figure out the best way to move forward. And so for his business, for his family, that's what's happening now. And I get that, and I support that. And we're here to support him as well.
Right, agreed. And but there is one additional thing. You will hear him on a podcast coming up soon, within the next week or so. I'm listening to the Brewer of Seville's podcast, Pint Talking. It's a phenomenal podcast that he visits breweries, it seems like mostly in kind of the northern section of Ohio, but he has made it down to Cincinnati once or twice. The Brewer of Seville will be coming to Listerman in July, so there'll be a Listerman episode that you and I will cover out this summer. But this upcoming episode, he's going to be talking with the Gnarly Gnome. Mm-hmm. So that is something that you and I are going to listen to, and I'm very excited to hear the conversation between the brewer and the gnome. So if you don't know about the Brewer of Seville, definitely check out that podcast. He puts out some great content, and especially this upcoming episode will be kind of very near and dear to both of our hearts. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to kind of cover podcast news-wise? I know that we've been kind of lacking on podcasts to cover, but...
No, I mean, the only other thing as far as something on social media... the Brews Travelers Outcast podcast recorded, I think, 2 weeks ago somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're looking for an episode of that podcast to come out soon.
Yeah.
Shift Beer sent out a tweet saying that they're going to have some content out soon.
Hell yeah.
So I think we're going to get a little bit more to talk about coming up soon.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break. I'm almost done with my beer.
Sure.
So let me go ahead and hit the pause button, and we'll be right back. All right, we have made it
back.
All right, we have, once again, just a single episode of a Cincinnati Craft Beer podcast to talk about. Craft Parenting Pod. They have been absolutely killing it.
Craft Girl Scout Pod.
Yes. If you know, you know. They've been doing a great job of putting out a lot of beer-related episodes. Most of the time, they'll have like 1 or 2 parenting-focused episodes in between the beer-focused episodes. But man, with St. Patrick's Day, with with all kinds of other stuff, they have been doing a phenomenal job, and this episode is no different. This is episode 93, St. Patrick's Day Shenanigans at Westside Brewing. Caroline had actually texted me saying, hey, do you want to meet us at Westside Brewing and, do a podcast? And it had just been a day. It was the weekend after Josh's birthday, so we were still going out to my Josh. Clarify.
Okay.
To
Not Josh Angle.
No, not Josh Angle. Not Jangle.
Not Raging Hop on Twitter.
True that. We had gone out to a couple places for my Josh's, birthday, dinner, stuff like that. So we were running all over.
Where was
the
dinner?
place. We went to Third Eye on Saturday.
Okay.
The Saturday after his birthday.
Nice. What'd you get?
I got what did I get? I don't remember, but it was delicious.
What did Josh get?
I don't remember, but it was delicious.
Okay, very good.
I had some of it, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Thoughts, memories, I don't have them anymore.
Oh, it's St. Patty's Day this past Friday. I mean,
well, this was the weekend before.
This was the weekend before.
Yeah, this was the weekend before St. Patrick's Day that they were trying to do this.
But that's the
episode.
reason why you can't remember is because St. Patty's Day happened.
Yes, I was. Yes, we'll go with that. we'll go with that. And then on Sunday, we went out to brunch with my mom, and we went up to Taste of Belgium up in Mason, which was
Nice.
Delicious.
How's your mom?
She's good.
I tell her I
She's
said
doing
hi.
well. I think you just did.
Awesome.
Hi, Mom. All right, so let's get back to episode 93 of Craft Parenting Pod. This is a St. Patty's Day flight tasting show. They talked about the history of St. Patrick's Day, as they typically do. They are very good about giving the history of the event that they're talking about, or the brewery, or all kinds of stuff.
Snakes.
Lots of snakes.
Yeah.
Snakes.
Snake talk.
Snakes on planes, snakes on land, snakes on sea, snakes in beer. There were snakes all over
in
the
Ireland.
place. Mostly Ireland.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. They each got Westside did a St. Patrick's Day flight, which had all of their kind of Irish beers. They actually ran out of wine.
They did.
Before
A week before St. Patrick's Day.
They had more that they were brewing up, so it was all good.
Planning.
But,
Do better. Be better.
I'm telling you.
What happened to this?
I'm telling you.
Best side thing.
It's
Figure it out.
Ooh, shots fired. Let's see. They had 3 stouts and a lager. They had the blonde stout, which I absolutely love. Westside's blonde stout. They had the dry stout, Gilligan's stout, Gilligan's extra stout, and Gill, the German Irish lager. So, still some Irish in there. I think the blonde is probably the only non-Irish St. Patrick's Day-esque beer, but it was still a stout, so does it count?
I mean, if they said it does, I guess it does.
Well,
I mean, who am I to say that it doesn't?
That's true. That's true. They gave some history of each style and Westside's description of each of the beers, which again isn't something else that they're very good at doing. They also had a very, very heated discussion about how it is paddy, DDY, and not patty, TTY.
Right.
When you are shortening the name of the holiday.
I mean, how many minds were blown once they went ahead and let you know, hey, is this difference between male versus female version?
I'm telling you. Let's see, what else did they talk about? I liked this. This was a shout out to you and accolades to you, Marco. Joe was talking about his he started with the top 3 Westside beers.
That's right.
And then he said, well, I have to actually make it the top 4. And then they said, but according to Marco, if I give you my top 4, I also have to throw in what is my 5th? What is the 5th top Westside beer that we drink?
At least they understand. They listen, they understand.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, what else was there? Another really good conversation. What is the difference between a toddler and a small child? And this was a very serious discussion that they had. It probably went on for almost 15, 20 minutes of the podcast. And I have to agree, what the hell is the difference between a toddler and a small child? Is there a difference? Are they one and the same?
I think maturity. And everything that is still immature across the board, but
so which one has
producer is saying 4 what
beers?
4 beers?
4 beers.
Oh, years. I was like, 4 beers, let's go.
4 beers between a toddler and a small child. I mean, that's just irresponsible.
Yeah. Well, what happens
First and
is
foremost,
if a toddler, once I have 4 beers, they all of a sudden just become more responsible because you just stop. You just like, fuck around and find out. Go on. Like, do your shit.
You do you, small one. It's perfectly fine.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Look at you.
Oh my God, amazing. Caroline had a snake bite that she made herself. And this is something that Joe and I talked about when he had me do a stand-in for Caroline a couple episodes ago when we talked about West Side's ciders. Snake bite is a dry cider mixed with a stout.
Yeah.
Yes, the West Ciders. It sounded pretty good. I haven't had one yet. I haven't made my own, but
I don't think it sounds that good. But to each their own. I don't care. You want to put, put a cider in a stout, then go for it.
If you want to put Campari in a High Life, go ahead and do it.
Do it. Just do it.
You do you.
Yeah.
They talked about how Joe has a very tall mug, and I wasn't sure if that was.
It's not a great idea because his hands are so small.
Well, yeah. But
so
I also
was do both hands.
But was it a euphemism? That's what I was. Oh my God, the hand motions for those of you not on the live stream, which I think we might have a live stream later on tonight. It's possible. Holy cow! They definitely talked about the mugs, the West Side mugs. They talked about how Caroline only has grandma hobbies.
Yeah. They list top 5 grandma hobbies, and Caroline.
Like, yeah, I kind of.
That's kind of crazy. I check all these boxes.
Which is fine. Whatever you want to do. Oh God.
They get into Girl Scout cookies.
Oh my God, they were talking all about the Girl Scout cookies.
Jesus.
Which, I mean, it still is technically Girl Scout season, and you can find out from this episode exactly how a Girl Scout troop gets canceled.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that was a thing, and I'm like, my God, they're ruthless.
Okay, Joe, the Michael Jackson of German dancing,
yes,
and Caroline, they're all going to appreciate this. I had the podcast on when I had my wife and my son Vincent in the car.
You had their podcast on just to make sure people.
Their the Craft Parenting Pod.
Yes,
and it was right at this intersection here where they started to sort of stray from talking about beer and start talking about Girl Scout cookies and stuff.
Because they've had beers by that time.
And my wife was the cookie mom.
Yeah, you've mentioned, yeah.
And so my wife is just like, yes, girl. Just giving it all the, like, confirmation.
We almost had a toddler or a small child run out into the street. Maturity. So
there's a park across the street. I mean, that's going to happen.
So, but the maturity level of that child means that they're probably more on the toddler side than the small child side, according to producer David, maybe.
4 beers?
4 beers.
4 beers.
That kid has had 4 beers, and he went, I see the park, I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
Can't blame him. It's a beautiful evening.
Kid went YOLO.
Anyway, so your wife was in the car, and she was going, yes, agree to all of the ways that Girl Scouts, or Girl Scout troops, Girl Scouts, whoever, get canceled. Holy crap, it was absolutely crazy. Like, seriously, the ruthlessness. They have entire Facebook groups where different Girl Scout troops and Girl Scout moms go, okay, and this location over here, they're doing this wrong.
And you know
what
they say, right?
Dude, man.
It doesn't matter, even if it's Girl Scouts, snitches get stitches.
Hell yeah. They absolutely do. And then one of the other things that they talked about before we kind of wrap some of this up is what games would be on the Parenting Beer Olympics, which that gentleman chasing his child across the street.
Catching the kid.
Would be a gold medal for me.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So some of the events that they talked about were keeping your beer safe. So if you're sitting at a table and your child's at the table with you, that kid wants to grab everything on the table, including your glass of beer. So one of the games would be keeping your beer safe. Another one of the games is navigate a brewery with a full beer while holding a toddler.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen at many a brewery, and man, they do deserve medals for some of that shit.
And somebody gives their epic fail on one of those.
Yes.
So.
Yes, you will definitely have to listen to this episode to find out. I really didn't have any other notes. It was another really fun episode. The chaos at Westside was very apparent from the recording. They actually
there were parties and stuff. Joe wanted to go out and be social.
Yeah.
He wanted to get up and go talk around, and people stopped them and talked with them. Like, you are Joe. You are the Joe.
We know you. This is awesome.
That's it. And then they're like, oh, you are Caroline. Caroline. And they went up to Caroline and did that. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
It sounded like they had a great time. Sorry that I couldn't be there, but man,
Yeah.
There's
I had to
nothing
wash my
better.
hair, or I could have been there.
And your hair is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
It is always wonderfully coiffed and gorgeous. What product
What
do
is
you
it? What
use,
is this
Nicholas?
so? What are you talking? A 6?
Oh, your hair's getting a 6?
I got 6 for you, buddy.
I mean, Marco, did you have anything else
No.
on this episode 93 of the Craft Parenting Podcast? All right.
No.
Well, I know this is a bit of a shorter episode, but again, we only had one podcast, and we actually covered it in less time than it took to listen to their podcast.
Yeah.
We're on a roll here. This is actually
We
kind
are.
of amazing.
We
We do have some bonus stuff that we want to try to get recorded tonight, so we're going to
Yeah.
go ahead and cut this one short.
Yeah, to take you behind the curtain, we're rushing a little bit because there's going to be more to come. So
Yes.
you'll
Yes,
figure that
yes,
out.
Yes. If you like what we've done in this, I don't want to say it was a rushed episode. I feel like we kept a pretty decent cadence the whole way through. But hey, let us know if we're wrong. Tell a friend, tell your family, tell your dog walker, tell the cockatoo that sits on your neighbor's balcony and just does nothing but scream all day and all night long.
If you could train a bird to say Truth Beer Pod,
Yes.
hit us up on social media.
Yes. And shout out to one of my nurses at Beacon Orthopedics who asked about our podcast because I was wearing the shirt. If you happen to listen.
Salute to you.
Hopefully you had a good time listening, and I am still taking care of my foot, so no worries about that. But other than that, you can like, subscribe, follow,
You okay
share,
over there?
review, all that
Just-
good stuff.
You good?
You good?
I heard a
Everything good?
cough. I care about you.
We are on social media at Truth Beer Pod pretty much everywhere. Send us an email if you like. If you want to tell us something that you don't want to put on social media, that is truthbeerpod@gmail.com. If you don't like what we're doing, at Raging Hop on Twitter. He will compile all of the complaints that are about our show and let us know about them. Or he won't. He hasn't really told us much
Yeah,
at
we
all.
we meet with him quarterly.
Yeah,
and
and there's been nothing new to report.
Yeah.
If you want to know some other ways to support us, such as throwing a couple bucks our way, either on a regular basis or on a one-time basis, go to our website, truthbeerpod.com. All the links are at the top of the page. But other than that, Marco,
Julia,
what are you going to be doing next Tuesday?
I'm going to be here with you, doing the same thing, recapping Cincinnati Craft Beer Podcast. Maybe a little bit more. We'll see.
Sounds good. See you
Cheers.
there. Cheers.